OT. Thank you guys for coming tonight. I know it's a holiday. I appreciate you guys showing up with me. I think maybe I scared some of the other people off. I'm not going to be half as hardcore as I made out like I was going to be. But I would like to talk about timeout. Last night, OT's topic was taking things back to the fundamentals. Let's go all the way back to kindergarten when you put yourself in timeout or the teacher put you in timeout or your friends got in timeout. And tonight we're going to put some things into timeout. One of the first things that you guys, or one of the biggest things that you guys asked for the other night was for me to discuss on this topic. And I'm prepared to do that. But before we do that, I'd like to share with you guys a quote. Today is Martin Luther King Day. And a famous quote by Mr. King was, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And we remember OT's quote from yesterday that Confucius said, it doesn't matter how long it takes as long as you keep going. Kind of the same thing here. And another powerful world-changing man has the same vision. And that's what we have to do as traders. We're going to take setbacks. We're going to have red days. We're going to have times that we're not as dialed in, so to say, as other days. But we just got to keep moving forward. We can't continue to go backward or stay in the same place, or else our accounts will pay the consequences for that. One of the main topics that we heard probably 10 or 12 times the other night when I asked you guys for input was to talk about patience and impatience and how to be more patient. You guys know that I like to start with a definition. So what is impatience? Impatience is having or showing a tendency to be quickly irritated or provoked. Any of y'all felt like that when you were trading? What is patient? Let's talk about the actual root word of this word. Able to accept or tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. If you're annoyed or anxious, that's no kind of way to be in a trading mindset. You're not trading in the zone. When you're suffering, see this word here, suffering. You know what? When our mind starts becoming impatient, we're not only going to suffer mentally. What else is going to suffer? Our accounts. Our accounts are going to suffer when we become impatient. Our growth is going to suffer when we become impatient. Our confidence is going to suffer when we become impatient. And this is one of the biggest killers of traders, being impatient. How many times did we hear last week? Well, conditions weren't optimal, but I went ahead and tried to make a quick trade anyways before I went back to work. Or I couldn't bring myself to Blue Book today because I did it yesterday. Hey, I'm guilty. On Wednesday, I had Blue Book. Tuesday, on Wednesday, I had to make a trade. I felt it, guys. You're not alone in this. But our goal here is to overcome the problems that we have as traders. So let's talk about some ways that we can cure impatience in ourselves so that we don't cause our accounts to suffer. Things that cause impatience: high levels of stress or anxiety, unrealistic expectations. I can't tell you how many traders that I've talked to have unrealistic expectations. Okay. I had a good call with my fitness coach today. And one thing he told me is, hey, just like in trading, man, you have to have realistic expectations for your progress levels in your fitness journey. We have to do the same thing in our account. A lack of control or autonomy over a situation. If I could drive this home, this one thing, a lack of control or autonomy over a situation. Guys, we have zero control over what the market does. Zero. We don't have the money to move the markets. We don't have any say whether it goes up or down or consolidates, or we have no control. And a lot of us are type A personalities. We're used to being in a heavy level of control over our life. We're used to controlling our outcomes. We're used to the more that we double down, the more that we work harder, the more that we push, we finally get that breakthrough and we get the result that we desire. This is disastrous in trading. It will not work. It's plain and simple. It will not work. I'm telling you right now, I've talked about this in just about every conversation, every series that I've had, is that we don't have control over this market. But look, that's a primary driver of frustration, which can lead to impatience, right? Which will do what? Cause our account to suffer. And we're going to discuss each one of these things in detail. But I want to focus in on that at one point tonight. How about if we're feeling overwhelmed or overburdened? What will cause that? I feel like this is an offshoot of number 2 here, unrealistic expectations. We shouldn't be feeling overwhelmed or overburdened if we're within of our risk management strategy and we're within inside of our trade management strategy, unless it's coming from outside factors related to trading, which are usually caused by unrealistic expectations. Frustration or dissatisfaction with a current situation. I feel like this is also an offshoot of number 2. We shouldn't have frustration or dissatisfaction with our current situation if we have realistic expectations. If you're a new trader, if you're not a profitable trader, we have to set reasonable expectations. Now, a lack of information or understanding about a task or situation. This is one that in my research, it said this can be a number 1 cause of impatience. But the fact of the matter is, OT and I have laid out a process and a plan. We've covered it heavily. We've built a structure inside this Discord to teach somebody who's never traded from a day 1 perspective, never looked at a chart, to go from there to profitable. So I feel like a lack of information is not going to apply to us as much. And then last but not least, definitely a killer for a lot of us, certain substances such as caffeine or nicotine. I'm going to dive into that later. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But those type of stimulants it's highly probable that it will cause you to be impatient. Because then your mind, your frequency, your body, you're zinging. You're poop, 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 poop. What's going to happen? How can I force something? How can I get in here even though it's not my setup? That's an easy one to get out, but it's also a hard one to get out. We're going to talk about these in depth, each one, and try to figure out how can we overcome impatience, because clearly this is one of the prominent issues that many people discussed the other night in our heart-to-heart. When I asked you, what are you struggling with? What do you want to hear? How can I help you? So I did the research. I did the work. I'm going to bring it to you now, and we're going to talk about each and every one of these. And hopefully we can put impatience in timeout before we put ourselves in timeout account-wise and blow up our account or continuously click F trade days, continuously lose money. Let's put impatience in timeout so that we get to stay in the game, so that we can play and have fun, not have to miss recess like a kindergartner. Okay, it's very simple and yet very complex at the same time. I'm not going to read each of these word for word. I will post the screenshots if anybody wants them in the shared documents. But how can we cure high levels of stress or anxiety that's a driver of impatience? With exercise, with our relaxation techniques, proper time management. All of these have been covered before, guys. You guys know the answer is putting it into place. Social support. We have a very, very good social support system in this Discord. You have battle buddies. You have people to ask questions to. We have new leaders that we're moving along in here. We have all different types of social support. Today, speaking about fitness, that's closely related to trading. Getting enough sleep. It's simple. It sounds, oh my gosh, getting enough sleep. Everybody constantly says, I'm tired. I don't have enough energy. Go to sleep. It's simple. But what happens? Instead, we want to scroll TikTok for 2 hours, and then we've missed out on our sleep, and then we're running late, and then we're tired, or we want to stay up late to see who wins that football game that doesn't truly affect us in our life. And at that time, we're sacrificing our sleep. Diet, we've covered in depth. Limiting caffeine and alcohol. Mindfulness, we've covered. But one thing we haven't really covered that much is humor and laughter. Today we had the day off. I got up early. I did some things at the house. I made an early trade in the futures market before it closed. And then I went and hung out with my mom. And you guys know I'm close with my mom. We laughed, we cut up, we chopped it up, we talked about life, we talked about the groundbreaking stuff she's doing with her doctor's degree. She got another promotion because of that, and she's actually in charge of a whole college curriculum. And but the point is here, we had humor and laughter. We just enjoyed each other's company. We didn't talk about trading. We didn't talk about the candlesticks. We didn't talk about how to improve ourselves. We just laughed. We just BS'd. We just hung out as friends, And I feel so much less stressed today than I felt probably in 2 weeks since they came over and had dinner the other night. Because to me, that's a big part of my social support system, number 4, outside of this Discord. And I think it's very important to, as we're focusing on our life P&L, to remember that laughter really is such a powerful stress reliever. Of course, as always, it's important to find out what works best for you and make your self-care a regular practice in your daily life. And I'm going to keep harping on this, guys, because everything is everything. If your mindset outside in your life is all kinds of upside down and messed up, you can't expect yourself to come in here and be a focused in, dialed in trader the way that you should be. Let's talk about the unrealistic expectations for a second. Dealing with unrealistic expectations can be challenging, but there's several ways to help. Okay? With the people who I communicate with, the people who I coach, the people who coach me, the people that I'm friends with, I try my best to communicate openly and honestly. I try to tell them, hey, wait a second. No, you're reading this wrong. This is the way I see it. And then they tell me, well, maybe you're seeing it wrong. And I say, okay. And both people are able to grow. Just like I've said before in the Bible, it says iron sharpens iron. But if you're not communicating openly with people and you're not showing up on your red days and you're only showing up in the after hours trade review on green days and you're not communicating properly, how can you fix something if we don't know it needs to be fixed, like OT said the other night? I'm going to say this again, set realistic goals. A lot of people say, I don't want goals in trading. It doesn't, it tries to force me. Fine. I'm telling you that in my research, this is what I found, that setting realistic, achievable goals will help you manage the fact of not setting unrealistic goals for yourself. It's not realistic for you to come in here with 2 months trading and say, I'm going to make 10K a month when, unless you're a prodigy, unless you're some kind of, Bobby Fischer type genius level IQ and controller of your emotions. And a lot of times I think this game's actually harder the smarter and better you are. If you can follow a simple recipe, you could probably be a successful trader. The proof of that is, teaching my kids. They do exactly what I tell them, and they have no idea about market structure. They have no idea about what. I put them in the simulator, and I give them a simple criteria to follow. They follow it, and they're successful traders. It's not rocket science here, guys. It's following the rules. It's following the recipe for success. Of course, prioritizing, learning to say no, setting boundaries, with other expectations in your life so that you can worry about prioritizing the things that are most important to you, which you guys know what mine are. My three F's, my freedom, my family, and my finances. Those are the things that I prioritize. And this year, I've added a 4th F, being my fitness. So now I have to create time to add into that. For you, your priorities may be different. You have to learn how to prioritize the things that are important to you. Of course, taking care of yourself comes into fixing this as well. Seeking support, anytime that you guys have questions, a lot of you guys have reached out to me. I know a lot of you guys have reached out to OT. We try to be there with support. Hey, you had a bad day. Okay, that's fine. That's not the time that I'm going to sit here and tell you how to fix your problem necessarily. I'm going to try to empathize with you. I'm going to try to say, look, I've been there. Look, I know what you're going through. I feel your pain. We can work on all of the next steps to fix this. I'll give you support. And then, of course, we know through the data tracking series that I did, we got to reflect and we got to learn from our mistake. But if we do all these things, it should help us cure unrealistic expectations, which causes impatience. Of course, if you think that your goal is to make $100,000 tomorrow in trading, or that you're going to get every penny that you might have lost in the market back tomorrow, and you have that unrealistic expectation, the fact of the matter is you're probably going to dig the hole deeper. And I'm sorry to tell you that there's no magic, creation. There's no easy button. It's setting realistic expectations and goals, and then just moving forward 1 foot at a time, 1 step at a time, 1 trade at a time, 1 day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. It's literally that simple, but we don't do it because we have unrealistic expectations. This is a big one for me. This is a really big one for me, guys. I'm not going to go into my entire history of, my life, and everybody has their own backstory outside of this. Right now, we're focused on trading. But due to my childhood, a lot of things being out of my control, I'm a type of person that craves control over the situation. Primarily, I think, because the person who I trust the most to succeed is myself. So I know if I put myself in charge, 99 times out of 100, I'm getting my desired outcome, right? Well, guess what? That also goes hand in hand with my addicted personality. Because the things I can't control, I try to escape from, right? Let's look at this. Feeling like you have no control over a situation can be stressful and overwhelming. Here are these strategies. Look at what number 1 is. Identify what you can control. Focus on the things you can change rather than dwelling on the things you can't. Identify what actions you can take to improve the situation. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but one of the number 1 things that they tell people with addictive personalities is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Exactly, Bobby. A lot of y'all know this. You heard this before. But the thing is, what instead do we try to do? Are we focusing on controlling the market, which we already know is a foregone conclusion? We're not going to do it. We're just not going to do it. It's never going to happen. So what can we control? When we take the trade, can we stick to our trade plan? Can we follow the recipe? Can we bake a simple cake? If my setup shows up here, I execute. When it's time to get out, I get out based on my trade plan. It's X, Y, Z. No, thank you for helping me, Bobby, because I know you feel that. I feel that too. Okay? Hey, you're looking at somebody who cold turkey sober for 21 days now. It's a struggle for me sometimes. It is what it is because I want to control stuff. I want to be in control. I want to control the outcome. And then the things that I can't, my coping strategy that I've developed throughout the years has said, okay, escape from those things. That's not healthy either. What is healthy? To identify what I can control and focus on changing the things that I can control and not dwelling on the things that I can't. I can't make the market go up or down. So there's no point in me holding and hoping. There's no point in me sitting there taking 1,000 shots thinking that I'm going to be right. The only thing I can control is my execution of each and every trade. And does that execution of that trade fit inside my trade plan? Point blank, period. That's it. There's no other way around it, guys. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no magic, there's no hope, there's no nothing. You identify what you can control. What can we control? Once again, I'm going to say this for the 3rd time because this is how important it is for me. The only thing that we can control is the execution of our trades inside of our trade plan, which means if you trade anything outside of your trade plan, you are screwing up. Okay, Old Timer didn't say it quite this mean as I said it, but he said, guys, hey, what did I not tell you? Me and Joker sat here and we came up with this whole trade plan that we've tested, that we've proved works. We showed you how to do it. And yet we still got people who say they want to be successful traders out here trading without a trade plan. Are you kidding me? I mean, like I said last night, guys, I know I'm getting passionate, and I warned you guys this was going to come, but really, are you kidding me? I took every one of y'all. I handpicked you. I sent you invitations. Me and OT did a lot of work to create this beautiful, magical environment. And every day we got 5, 6 people trading with no trade plan. Come on. That's all I got to say. Come on. What do you want from me and OT? There's no magic pill to lose weight. There's no magic sauce to become a consistently profitable trader. It's this simple. Execute your trades based on your trade plan. Let me move on before I start really spitting. Set realistic goals, obviously, is another way to control the lack of autonomy over a situation. Once again, we're going to prioritize and we're going to focus on our most important tasks. What's our most important task, guys? Taking money from the market. That's the most important task here. Okay? In order to take money from the market, we have to go one step back. And what do we have to do? We have to have money in order to risk, in order to make a trade, to take money from the market. So that leads us to step number 1, being capital preservation. If we don't have no stinking capital, we can't make no stinking trades. That's all there is to it, guys. And guess what's going to happen if you trade with no trade plan? The market's going to take your money. Fail. You deserve that F. You made the F grade, and you deserved every bit of it. And what our goal here is to make consistently profitable traders, to teach the things that we know and have proven, because it really is that simple. You could say, make yourself a commitment today to say, I'm not going to trade outside my trade plan, period. And I guarantee you, if you have a solid trade plan that has been, spread here, how to set it from each different 5 points, your stop loss criteria, your entry criteria, your detail section, et cetera, I guarantee if you don't take a trade outside that trade plan, you will be a consistently profitable trader. And if you can prove to me that you did that and you're not a consistently profitable trader, I'll stroke you out a $10,000 check right now. Because I know not one single one of you can prove it. The trades that are going wrong are the trades outside the trade plan. But it's because we get impatient. It's because we feel like we have no control. It's because we feel like we got to make all the money back that we lost by next week. It's because we feel like we got to do X, Y, Z. You don't. Anyways, I'm going to move on some more. I told y'all this was going to be my big section that was going to get me fired up. Once again, we have seeking support. This Discord is usually a very supportive place unless I continue to see these Fs like we've seen, the last week. Because F, the only thing F means is trading with no trade plan. Of course, we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to reframe our thoughts just like we did in the, 12 universal laws of the universe. We're going to wear our rose-colored glasses. We're going to try to learn. And we're going to realize once and for all, we do not control the market. The market does what it does, and we play with inside the energy of that with our edge. Period. Let's move on. Frustration or dissatisfaction with a current situation. Like I said, I feel like this one goes back up to the previous one of unrealistic expectations. But if we can identify the source of our frustration, what is it? Is it the fact that we want to leave the job that we have? That's a lot of us. Man, I hate my job. I really want to trade full time. I really want to hang out in the Discord. I really want to be the best trader I could be. Fine, what are you willing to give for that? What are you willing to give for that? Because your job tells you if you give me 40 hours, I'm going to give you this paycheck, right? You got to give something to get it. Well, it's the same thing with the market. You think that just because you said, well, I'm frustrated, I want to leave my job, that you can do that tomorrow? Come on. It leads back up to unrealistic expectations. So let's focus in on how can we set realistic goals. How can you tell yourself, okay, I've been trading one contract diligently, sticking to my bankroll strategy, sticking to my trade plan, and I've got this profit data. I've tracked my win rate, I've tracked my profit ratio, and I can prove that here's where I'm at. Okay, well then you have data to say, If I can improve it by 10% next month, then maybe I can scale up to 2 contracts and get comfortable there. And then maybe I can scale up to 3 contracts and get comfortable there. And then pretty soon you're trading 5 like Mr. OT, and you're a full-time trader. This is just a simple process of moving through the rungs safely, securely, preserving your capital with realistic expectations. But if you do like I did when I first started trading, oh, let me go ahead and put 100K on the line just because I got it. Then bam, get smoked by DWAC. Make 30 grand in a day on AMC. Make 15 in a day on Dutch Brothers. And then lose 75 the next day on DWAC. That'll hurt you guys. That's not realistic expectations for me to play at that level when I have no real knowledge of what playing like at that level is like. That's why we've set forth a plan to help you do it in a safe, secure process. Process. Remember, we constantly use the same word every day. Process. Process. It's a process. And the better you are at the process, the better you can do every single thing else in your life. Because what were the 3 things that OT gave us last night? A plan, discipline to stick to the plan, and then patience for that plan to stick out. Simple, easy. 1, 2, 3. So why are we not doing it? That's the main question I'm trying to figure out. I don't know the answer to that question, but what I do know is every night this week, I'm going to give you a topic that you asked me to address as a weakness in your trading. And I'm going to tell you how to overcome it with a series of these presentations that I researched. We see the same similar things presenting themselves, reframing our thoughts, setting realistic goals, seeking support, and taking care of ourselves. So let's move to the next one. A lack of information or understanding about a task or situation. There shouldn't be any person in here that has a lack of understanding about what a trade plan is. There shouldn't be any person in here with a lack of information about how to go long or to go short, how to buy a call or how to buy a put. But if you do, what's rule number 1? Ask questions. If you don't know how to, see you, Danny. If you don't know how to read a chart enough to be able to tell your price action, we've put out videos to teach you price action. We've put out videos to teach you candlestick patterns. We've put out videos to tell you all the things. If you have a lack of information, then you haven't done your part. Because OT and I have consistently tried to give you all the tools that you need to be successful in a certain order. But if you still don't have those tools, ask questions. Because when you ask questions, we will try our best to give you the answer. We will try our best to help you. And that way you can overcome this situation that causes you impatience. We have second opinions. We have a mastermind group here, guys. All of our minds get into this and we bounce ideas off of each other. We try to create a meritocracy. We all try to help each other. There's no reason for anyone to have a lack of information. I guarantee you that if you ask anyone in this chat for help, they'll do their best to try to help you. We circle back again to prioritizing and focusing on what's most important. And once again, there's really only, one goal and one way to make it happen, and is make your trade plan, have the discipline to stick to it, and take the profits. We're not going to blow our capital so that we can stay in the game as long as it takes us to really figure this out, as long as it takes us to consistently be disciplined. So if you're doing anything outside of that, you belong in timeout until you're able to put impatience in timeout. Period. The last one that we talked about, I said I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on this one. If you got 3 cups of coffee in you, 4 cups of coffee, and you got the popular music bumping and you're ready to trade, the market's about to open and you're over here. Well, where do you think your body frequency's at? If you're over here chain smoking cigarettes, 3, 4 at a time, just bam, 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 one in each hand, what do you think your trading's going to be like? It's going to be impatient. You're going to be ready to go. You're going to be, hey, Hey, let me hit it. Let me hit it and get it. I got to go. I'm ready to get it. I got to get in. Long, short, long, short, long, short. Next thing you know, you're overtrading. Next thing you know, you're hitting it too fast. Next thing you know, it's not your setup. And that leads to losing money. Our number one goal is not to lose money because we need that money in order to risk it to make more money. So why are we being impatient? Because of something as simple as a cup of coffee? Because of something as simple as a nicotine addiction? I want money more than I want to smoke cigarettes or drink coffee. And I'm on step number 1 of gradually reducing my substance consumption to anything except whole food and water. Eventually, hopefully, that's where I'll be. But sometimes it's a process. So we're going to take a gradual reduction. We're going to find alternative activities. That's how lifesavers were invented. Popular story. You know, we've talked about this in other sections. But if we circle back, what are we really looking at, guys? What are we looking at? Let's go back to put them all. I should have put it all in that one. But if we're talking about the things that cause impatience, we've sat here and addressed them. And as you saw, past about number 1 or 2, every single one of these has basically the same outcome. Prioritize your time. Take care of yourself. Take care of your temple, your body, your brain, your mind. Talk to a friend. Have support. Okay, we've got, like I said several times, we've got the support covered. So the rest is up to you. You have all the tools. You have everything necessary to bake a cake. And all of a sudden the cake said, okay, 2 eggs, 1 cup of flour, a teaspoon of vanilla, and you decide you want to pour spaghetti sauce in it. Come on. You want a spaghetti sauce cake? I don't want any spaghetti sauce cake, guys. I'm not trying to pour spaghetti sauce in my cake. I'm trying to get in here and make the money so that I could buy stuff for my family, so I could keep the lights turned on, so I could keep the money that I already got in my own pocket and not give it to the man. It's simple, like I said, but so complex at the same time. But at the end of the day, it boils down to just freaking do it. Whether you want to or not, it'll get easier as you do it. Do y'all think that I wanted to go and work out? I promise you I did not. Heck to the no. But what's the more important thing? I want something else more than I don't want to go work out. And I'm actively working on shifting my mindset to where that can be a positive thing. But until that happens, I got to just freaking do it. And that's kind of where a lot of y'all are at. And I hate to say that, and I hate to tell you that at the end of the day, it's not because of this, it's not because of that system, it's not because 920 doesn't work in consolidation, because no system works in consolidation. At the end of the day, you got to face the fact that the person who's responsible for your success or failure is the person you're looking at in the mirror every single time you look there. And I know a lot of y'all that may come as a shock because a lot of other people and gurus on the internet are going to sell y'all hopium, and they're going to try to, get you to believe in this indicator and believe in this easy button, believe in this magic pill. It's not. There's no quick shortcut. There's no shortcuts in life, whether it be fitness, family, freedom, or finances. It's very simple, guys. Stick to the trade plan. Execute every trade inside that trade plan. And I guarantee you that you will find yourself consistently long-term profitable. I promise you. I told y'all, I laid out the bet. If y'all ever want my autograph on a check, take that bet and prove it. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience. It's hard. It's hard to do the right thing sometimes. It starts out that way. It gets easier as it becomes a habit. But where do you stand at times of challenge and controversy? Do you stand on the podium with the gold medal winners? Or do you stand in the gutter with the bum? Only you can decide, and that's Dr. Martin Luther King once again. Happy Martin Luther King to you guys. And My call to action today is very simple. Put impatience in timeout. I've given you all the strategies of how to overcome impatience, the causes of impatience, and how to overcome them. And my other suggestion is if you feel like you are incapable of doing the things that you need to do, you need to put yourself in timeout from trading with real money. Period. If you're a futures trader, you have an awesome simulator to get in and trade for free. If you're an options trader, I suggest that you actually trade on paper. Write down the price at the time that you would execute buying. Write down the price at the time that you would execute selling, because the fills are trash on every platform that I've tried paper trading options. And the only consistent way I could do it is actually write down the price. But one of those two things needs to happen right here, right now, is you need to take that responsibility to be successful and to put impatience into timeout, or give yourself a timeout until you feel like you're ready to be that person. You know, I got a little passionate tonight, but I want you guys to know I love y'all. I do anything to help any of y'all. Tonight was just one of those times that we got to have a call to the carpet. That's all I got, Mr. OT. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate y'all, and I'm here if you need me.